Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. We know the rule, the concept of Lahazir Gedolim al Aktanim, that there's an obligation for every mature person, every Gadol, to feel responsible on the Katanim that they're doing the right things. They're taught how to behave and how to fulfill properly Torah mitzvahs. Especially Lahafrish Me'isura, if you see somebody doing something wrong, there is a special obligation, responsibility for a gadol to teach the ktanim what's wrong. Or the ktanim in this sense could even be somebody who's older, but he just is doing the right thing. It is every yid's responsibility. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zelazeh. Me as a fellow Jew, I as a fellow Jew should teach, should make sure that my friend, my fellow Jew, is doing the right thing. So Kiyum Mitzvah Saseh, we know we try to teach as many people what the right thing to do is. Even more so, if Chas v'Shalom you see somebody doing something wrong, we have a chiyuv lahafrish me'isura, to try to move them away, separate them, and teach them what's wrong. And the question is, I'm a simple person. Is it my obligation just to walk around, as I'm walking around and seeing people doing things wrong, is it my responsibility to just tell everybody off for what they're doing? Or is this the Rabbanim's job, Bezdin's job? Number one. Number two, how far could you go with this responsibility? What's if it takes force? What's if they don't listen? How far does this chiyuv of lahafrish me'isura apply? You'll be surprised what the Gemara says. The Gemara brings a story in Masechta Brachos Daf Chaf Amud Aleph, where the Gemara says a story of different Amoraim who are moiser nefesh for Kedushas Hashem. They went above the letter of the law, which seems to be, but things that were not halik, things that people were doing which was causing the hepech of Kedushas Hashem, the different Amoraim went out all the way to stop it. So the Gemara brings an example of Rav Ada bar Ava. Rav Ada bar Ava, chazya lahi kutis, dahavas levisha karbelis b'shuka. Rav Ada bar Ava was walking in the street, and he saw a non-Jewish woman. Now, he did not know it was non-Jewish. She was non-Jewish. And she was wearing a levisha karbelisa. Karbelisa is either she was wearing red clothing, some Mefarshim say, or some Mefarshim say she was wearing very expensive, flashy clothing. And because of her dress code, she was causing people to look at her. Others say actually she was wearing kalayim, shatnas. Anyway, so Rav Ada bar Ava sees this. He knows that it's wrong for a woman to dress that way. Savar de Bas Yisrael, he thought that she was a Jewish woman. He went, kare mine. He ripped her clothes. Oh, he took matters in his own hand. This is not how a Jewish woman should dress, so he ripped the clothes. Igloi milsa, later on he found out, dekutisi, that she wasn't even Jewish. So he felt bad. It's not his responsibility to teach the goyim how to behave, how to dress. Saimua ba'arba me'zuzi. So they estimated the dress was worth 400 zuzim, $400, and Rav Ada bar Ava paid her for what he did, for ripping the clothes, for tearing the clothes, the dress. He gave her the 400 zuz. So some of the Mefarshim prove from here that the reason why Rav Ada bar Ava paid for it is because she was not Jewish. If she would have been a Jewish woman, Rav Ada bar Ava had no responsibility, no obligation on paying for it, because him as a fruma yid, when he sees somebody doing something wrong, he has to take matters in his own hand. Now, Rav Ada bar Ava is not just a regular simple person. Rav Ada bar Ava was a Jewish leader. So the question is it every Jewish person could do this, or only Bezdin? So let's look at the Ramah in Chayshem Mishpat, Siman Tov Chaf Aleph, Se'iv Yud Gimel. So the Ramah says a statement. But before the Ramah statement, let me tell you what the Mechaber says. The Mechaber says, Adam haraya echad mi Yisrael maka chaverei. If you see Reuven hurting Shimon, ve'ena yochel hatziloi im lo yika hamaka, the only way you could stop Shimon getting hurt is by hitting hard Ruvain. Yachar lahakoisai. You are allowed to hit Ruvain. Kidei la'afrushe me'yisura. Ruvain is doing something wrong. He's doing something prohibited. So you could hit Ruvain to stop him from doing something wrong. Comes the Ramah. And the Ramah says the example of hitting is not only there. V'chein mishu tachas reshusai. Same will apply anybody who is under your jurisdiction. V'raya boishu oisa dvar aveira. And you see that person doing something wrong, aveira. Rashai lahakoisa, you're allowed to hit him. Ula yasrai, and to give him musar. Kidei la'afrishe me isur, to push him away from doing isur. Ve'ein sarich la'aviyah lebezdin. There's no point to bring him to bezdin. You have the right to take the matters in your own hand. However, as clearly stated, the Ramah is clearly talking about a case where it's tachas reshusay, somebody in your family, somebody who you're responsible for. Rav Ada bar Ahava just did it to a lady on the street. The question is a very big question, the scenario. Because in Shailas Teshuvas Sfarim of today, I see a Shaila. If you know of a friend of yours, or let's say a general person in your office that has a computer, he's doing work, but you know that he's looking in not nice sites, and he's doing things wrong on the computer. And this was a Shaila that happened. So Reuven, knowing that his friend or a person in his office, Shimon, is doing wrong things, so when Shimon was not there, Reuven went and broke the computer. Lahafrishe me isura, because he's stuck and is doing bad things in the computer, so he went and broke the computer. And the question was asked, does he have to pay for breaking the computer? So the question is really twofold. First of all, does it apply on every individual, or is it a chiyuv on bezdin? And this individual is not the bezdin. Second of all, as we find in many halachas, that bezdin sometimes has a shlita, has a power which individuals don't have. And second of all, even when you have the rights lahafrishe meyusura, doesn't mean you can beat it, or in the case of smacking or hitting, you can't, Rahman al-Atzlan, go all the way. Over here, when you bust the computer, it's gone, it's history. From the other hand, if you tell him that he's obligated to pay, and he will pay for the computer for the computer being broken, A, you are not being mafresh the person from Isser, and B, he has the money to he has the money to start all over again and continue doing what he's doing. The Rambam in Hilchos Kalayim says, Imroya es chaveiroi, loivesh kalayim shel Torah. If you see a person wearing, a friend, maybe, perhaps the underline is a chaveiroi, you see a friend wearing shatnez, you jump on him and you rip his clothes. So the question is are all the cases similar? Because by kalayim, you are ripping it off, or you're damaging it while he's doing the Aveira. By the computer, for example, you're doing preventive medicine, hoping when he's not around, you're going to bust the computer so he or she will not continue to be able to do the Aveira. Now, in the above mentioned halacha from the Ramah, the Ktsois HaChoshen and Siman Gimel writes that there is an obligation on every bezdin to enforce people to do mitzvahs. La'afrushe me isura, that's already a chiyuv on every individual. So this is a very interesting question. And Lamaisa, one of the Rabbanim of Eretz Yisrael, paskin, that to allow everybody just to feel free and take matters in their own hand, you're setting yourself up for disaster, because you're going to cause damages, maybe not knowing, you're letting it too freely be done in their own feelings, their own emotions kicking in. However, if somebody did it, and we know in the case of the computer or the garment or anything like that, if somebody did take matters in his own hand and he saved a person for bimaflish me isser, that of paskin, that if he came to Bezdin, we wouldn't make him pay for what he did.